On a faraway planet, the sky shimmered with colors no human had names for. Towers of crystal rose high above the land, glowing softly under the twin suns. This was the home of the alien civilization, known for their wisdom and power. At the heart of their capital stood the Great Hall, where the legendary alien crown waited. Every century it chose a new ruler to guide the planet. For generations, the crown had accepted only the strongest and wisest aliens. Each candidate was tested in many ways and most failed. Some lacked patience, some lacked courage, and some lacked the calm heart the crown required. For the first time in 1,000 years, the crown had rejected every candidate. The elders worried. Without a chosen ruler, the planet could fall into chaos. Outside the Great Hall, in a quiet street, a small human boy named Eli wandered. His ship had landed months ago, bringing his family to study the alien world. Eli was curious, brave, and full of questions. Unlike the aliens, he had never been trained to fight or lead. He did not care for crowns or power. He only wanted to see the strange, glowing towers and the creatures who lived there. One day, while exploring the city, Eli saw a crowd gathering near the Great Hall. He pushed through, his eyes wide. Inside, the largest hall he had ever seen was filled with aliens of every shape and color. Their eyes were sharp, their movements precise. In the center, on a raised platform, sat the alien crown. It sparkled as if alive, humming softly. Many aliens had already tried to wear it. They stepped forward one by one, their faces confident. One by one they were rejected. The crown did not shine for them. The aliens' attempts were impressive. Some lifted their hands and chanted in old alien languages. Others bowed and displayed their power. But the crown remained cold, still, and silent. Whispers filled the hall. The elders' faces were tense. "It is unusual," said one. "The crown has never refused all candidates." Another elder shook his head. "Perhaps the planet needs someone new, someone unexpected." Eli watched quietly from the back. He did not understand much of the ceremonies, but he felt drawn to the crown. He could not explain it, but a small voice inside him seemed to call, "Come closer." Slowly he walked forward, keeping his eyes on the glowing object. The elders noticed him. "A human child?" one whispered. "He is too small. He cannot be the one." Another laughed softly. "Humans are weak and naive. They cannot understand the crown." The candidates sneered too, confident that none of them would be defeated by a child. But Eli did not stop. He reached the platform and looked at the crown. It was more beautiful than anything he had ever seen. Light moved across its surface, dancing like tiny stars. His heart beat fast, not from fear but from wonder. Without thinking, he lifted his hand and touched the crown gently. For a moment nothing happened. Then, slowly, a soft glow spread from where his fingers touched. The hall fell silent. The elders leaned forward, their eyes wide. Even the proud candidates stepped back, shocked. The crown, which had rejected the mightiest aliens, was shining for a human boy. Eli felt a warmth in his hand, gentle but powerful. He did not understand it, but it felt right. The aliens murmured among themselves. Some were frightened. Some were curious. The eldest of the elders, a tall alien with silver skin, stepped forward. "Impossible," he whispered. "The crown, it responds to him." Eli pulled back his hand, unsure what had happened. The crown's light faded slightly but remained bright enough to shine on him. He did not feel pride or fear. He only felt calm, as if the crown was not judging him, but simply acknowledging his presence. The elders looked at each other. "Perhaps," one said slowly, "the crown is testing us. Or perhaps it has chosen someone different, someone we did not expect." The hall buzzed with tension. The candidates muttered and grumbled, unable to hide their embarrassment. No alien had ever been outshone by a human. Eli's small hand had changed everything. He did not know it yet, but his touch had started a chain of events that would shake the entire planet. The crown had rejected strength, skill, and tradition. It had responded to something else, something simple, pure, and unexpected. From that day, the world of the aliens would never be the same. And Eli, a human boy who had wandered too close out of curiosity, had unknowingly begun the journey that would test the limits of his courage, his heart, and his humanity. The hall was quiet, almost too quiet. The glow from the crown lit the room, reflecting off the crystal walls. Eli stood frozen, staring at the strange, humming object. He did not know why the crown had reacted to him, but a soft warmth flowed through his fingers. It was a feeling he had never experienced before, calm, safe, and powerful at the same time. The aliens watched him closely. Some whispered nervously. "This is impossible," said a tall, blue-skinned alien. A human cannot be the chosen one. It must be a mistake. Another candidate shook his head angrily. We trained for decades. How can a child do what we could not? The eldest of the elders stepped forward, his long silver robes brushing the floor. His eyes glimmered with curiosity. The crown has a mind of its own, he said. Perhaps it is showing us something new. Eli blinked, unsure what to do. He did not want to hurt the crown and he did not want to be rude. He simply stood there, hands trembling slightly, feeling the light from the crown flow into him. It was not heavy or dangerous. It felt welcoming. Slowly Eli lowered his hand. The crown's glow dimmed but did not disappear. It was as if it had noticed him and decided to wait. The crowd of aliens murmured. Some were scared, some were amazed, and some could not hide their anger. None of them had ever seen the crown respond like this. The eldest elder motioned for silence. We must understand this, he said. The crown has never chosen a human. We must observe carefully before making any decisions. The other elders nodded. The candidates looked at Eli with suspicion. They whispered among themselves, comparing him to their own failures. Eli did not understand most of their words. He only knew that everyone was watching him. He felt nervous but also curious. Slowly he reached out again, just lightly touching the crown this time. The glow grew brighter. It spread across the room like a gentle sunrise. The hall's walls shimmered and a faint humming filled the air. The aliens gasped. It reacts to him, whispered one. Not strength, not skill, not wisdom, something else. Another elder stepped closer, studying the crown. Perhaps it responds to heart, not power. Eli tilted his head, unsure what heart meant in this context. He only knew he did not want to be selfish or mean. He wanted to help, to understand, and to do the right thing. As Eli touched the crown, a small voice echoed in his mind. It was soft, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. Do not fear, it said. You are not like the others. You may guide if you are true. Eli's eyes widened. He could not see anyone else hearing the voice. He wondered if it was his imagination, but the warmth in his hand made him believe it was real. The elders watched silently, exchanging uncertain glances. It is listening, said one quietly. It has never listened to any candidate before. Only humans could approach it without fear or ambition. Some of the younger aliens frowned. They did not understand how a human boy could succeed where they had failed. Eli withdrew his hand slowly, trying to step back. The crown's light followed him, keeping a gentle glow around his small figure. The hum seemed almost alive, pulsing softly with his heartbeat. The crowd grew more tense. They had never seen the crown behave like this. The eldest elder spoke again. We will need to test him, he said. The crown does not make mistakes. If it has reacted to him, we must understand why. Eli looked up, startled. He had not expected to be tested. He did not know what kind of test would come, but he felt ready even though he did not know why. Some of the alien candidates stepped forward, trying to intimidate him. They lifted their hands, chanting and showing their skills. But the crown did not respond to them at all. The glow remained with Eli. The candidates frowned and stepped back, frustrated and confused. Eli realized something important. The crown did not care about strength or skill or how loud one could shout. It responded to something small, something pure, something honest. He did not fully understand it yet, but he knew he wanted to do what was right, not what would make him look impressive. The eldest elder nodded slowly. The crown has chosen to test him, he said. We will see if he is worthy not by power but by heart and mind. Eli took a deep breath. He was a small human boy on a world of powerful aliens, but he did not feel afraid. He felt curious, ready to learn, and quietly determined. The crown pulsed once more, bright and warm, as if acknowledging his courage. In that moment Eli knew that this was the start of something new, not just for him but for the entire planet. He had touched the crown, and in doing so, he had begun a journey no human had ever taken before. From the shadows of the hall, the candidates muttered angrily, the elders whispered in wonder, and Eli simply stood there, feeling the glow of the crown wrap around him like a gentle, invisible hand. The challenge had begun and it would change everything. The elders gathered in a quiet chamber, their faces full of concern and curiosity. The crown had chosen a human boy, Eli, and they did not know what to expect. Every alien in history had trained for decades, learning strength, wisdom, and strategy. Eli had none of this, yet the crown had responded to him. We must test him carefully, said the eldest elder, his silver eyes reflecting the soft light of the room. We will not risk the planet on guesswork. But our tests must not be cruel. They must reveal his heart and mind. The other elders nodded in agreement. They devised a series of trials, each designed to measure patience, intelligence, and leadership, without relying on physical power. The next day Eli returned to the Great Hall. The candidates were already there, frowning and whispering. Some tried to ignore him, some watched nervously. The first trial began. It was a puzzle of light and sound, a labyrinth of shifting patterns that only someone attentive and thoughtful could solve. The alien candidates approached quickly, using techniques they had practiced for years. But the puzzle did not respond to force or speed. It required calm observation and creativity. Eli stepped forward. He watched the patterns carefully. He noticed small changes that others had missed. He moved slowly, testing his ideas, listening to the subtle hum of the crystals. Step by step, he guided a beam of light through the labyrinth. When he reached the end, the crown pulsed softly, shining a warm glow directly on him. The elders exchanged surprised glances. The candidates muttered in disbelief. The second trial was a test of leadership. Small groups of aliens were given the task of guiding holographic creatures through a complex course. Most candidates shouted instructions, using authority and strict rules. Their groups grew frustrated, making mistakes. Eli approached his group quietly. He listened to each creature, carefully observing their movements. He spoke softly, suggesting gentle adjustments. Slowly his team moved together, reaching the goal with harmony. The crown glowed again, brighter than before, as if approving his approach. The third trial tested knowledge. Ancient alien texts contained riddles and history lessons. Candidates were expected to recall facts and demonstrate learning. The older aliens answered quickly, reciting years of study. But some riddles were tricky, requiring insight rather than memory. Eli read slowly, thinking carefully. He asked simple questions aloud, noticing connections others ignored. His answers were not perfect, but they revealed understanding. Once again the crown responded, pulsing with light that seemed to grow warmer around him. By the end of the day the elders were amazed. None of the alien candidates had impressed the crown like Eli. They began to realize that the boy's human perspective brought something different, something they could not teach. He had not trained in strength, strategy, or politics. He had relied on observation, kindness, and quiet thought. These qualities, they understood, might be exactly what the crown sought. The alien candidates grew frustrated. They whispered among themselves. "A human boy," said one. "How can he do what we could not? We are stronger, wiser, older." Another candidate scowled. "It is unfair. This crown should respond to skill, not feelings." But the elders silenced them, reminding everyone that the crown had its own way of judging. Eli, meanwhile, felt neither pride nor fear. He was curious, excited, and a little nervous. Each trial taught him more about the aliens, their world, and the crown. He began to understand that this was not just about winning, it was about learning, understanding, and seeing beyond appearances. The crown, he realized, responded to honesty, empathy, and careful thought. At the end of the trials, the elders gathered around him. "You have done well, human," said the eldest. "The crown has responded to you when it rejected others. Your approach is unlike anything we have seen. But the final trial remains. You must show the crown your intentions. This will decide if it accepts you completely." Eli listened carefully. He did not know what the final trial would look like, but he felt ready. He had discovered patience, observation, and understanding in the first trials. He had learned that power alone was not enough to guide a planet. Strength and knowledge mattered, but heart mattered more. As the sun set over the crystal towers, Eli looked at the crown from afar. Its glow was soft, inviting, almost like a whisper. He felt a strange confidence, not because he was stronger or smarter than anyone else, but because he understood what the crown valued. The candidates gathered, tense and impatient. They were proud and strong, but they had missed something simple, something pure. Eli stepped forward again, ready for the final challenge. He did not know what the crown would ask, but he trusted himself. He trusted his heart. The elders nodded, signaling the end of the preparations. The trials had revealed much about Eli, and now it was time to see if the crown truly accepted him. The room hummed with anticipation. Aliens and humans alike watched, wondering if the small human boy could do what no one else had done. And Eli, standing quietly but determined, knew one thing clearly: he would not try to impress anyone. He would simply be himself. That was all the crown needed. The day of the final trial arrived. The great hall was brighter than ever, filled with light from the twin suns and the glowing crystals that lined the walls. Aliens of every color, shape, and size had gathered, eager to see who the crown would choose. The candidates, tense and frustrated, stood to the side, whispering to each other. They had trained for decades, yet the small human boy Eli had passed all previous trials. The eldest elder stepped forward, his long silver robes brushing the floor. "This final trial will reveal the true heart of the candidate," he announced. "The crown chooses not by strength or skill but by intent. Show the crown your intentions and it will respond. Fail and it will remain silent." The hall fell into complete silence. Eli stepped forward. He did not feel fear or pride. He only felt a quiet determination. He looked at the crown, noticing the subtle hum that seemed almost alive. The soft glow reflected on his face. He thought about the planet, the aliens, and the creatures that lived there. He thought about the elders and even the disappointed candidates. He thought about how he, a small human boy, had wandered into this place without expecting anything. He lifted his hand slowly, letting it hover above the crown. He took a deep breath. Then in a calm voice he spoke, not to the aliens but to the crown itself. "I do not wish to rule for power or glory," he said. "I do not want to be admired or feared. I only wish to protect this planet and help all who live here. I will listen, learn, and guide with fairness. I will care for those who cannot care for themselves." The hall grew still. Even the wind seemed to pause. The crown pulsed softly, then brighter. The elders leaned forward, their eyes wide. The other candidates froze, unable to believe what they were witnessing. The crown had never reacted like this before. No alien had ever spoken with such sincerity, and no candidate had ever shown such thoughtfulness. Eli's words seemed simple, almost childlike, but their meaning reached deeply into the heart of the crown. Light swirled around him, gentle and warm, expanding slowly until the entire hall glowed. The hum grew louder, vibrating softly through the floor and walls. The aliens watched in awe. Even the most skeptical candidates could not deny the beauty and power of what was happening. The eldest elder stepped forward cautiously. "It chooses him," he whispered, as if afraid the words would disturb the moment. The crown's glow intensified, shining directly on Eli. He felt a calm energy surround him, filling him with understanding, courage, and a strange sense of connection to everything in the hall. The other candidates stepped back. They were strong, trained, and intelligent, but they lacked something the crown sought. It did not care about their skill or ambition. It cared about heart. Eli had shown it the purest form of honesty and compassion, the willingness to guide with empathy rather than domination. The crown lifted slightly from its pedestal, hovering for a moment as if acknowledging Eli. He felt no fear, only a quiet joy. The elders smiled softly, tears of relief and wonder in their eyes. The crown had chosen, and it had chosen correctly. The hall erupted in gentle applause, not loud or violent but full of respect. Even the alien candidates nodded slowly, realizing that they had underestimated humans. They had believed that strength and wisdom alone were enough, but Eli had shown them something new, that a pure heart could achieve what no amount of training could. Eli looked around the hall, seeing the faces of aliens and elders alike. He felt a responsibility heavier than anything he had imagined, yet it did not scare him. He had passed the test, shown his intentions and earned the crown's trust. Now he had to lead, not as a conqueror but as a protector and guide. The eldest elder placed a hand on Eli's shoulder. "You are the first human to be chosen by the crown," he said softly. "You carry not only the crown but the hope of this planet. Lead with wisdom, courage, and compassion. That is all that is required." Eli nodded, feeling the warmth of the crown spread through him. It was not just a symbol of power, it was a guide, a teacher, and a companion. He realized that being chosen did not make him special because he was human, but because he had chosen to act with kindness and honesty. As the glow of the crown filled the hall, Eli took a deep breath and stepped forward fully. He had passed the trials, gained the crown's approval, and accepted his role. The aliens, young and old, looked at him with respect. For the first time, humans were seen as equals in this distant world. From that moment on, Eli understood that leadership was not about strength or skill, it was about heart, understanding, and the willingness to care for others. The crown had chosen him not because he was human, but because he was worthy. And as he looked at the glowing crown hovering above his head, he knew that the journey had only just begun. The glow of the crown lit the great hall as Eli looked around. The aliens, young and old, stared at him with respect and curiosity. The hall was filled with soft murmurs of wonder. For centuries, the crown had only chosen the strongest aliens, but now, it had chosen a human boy. This was a moment unlike any other in the planet's history. Eli felt the warmth of the crown around him. It was gentle, not heavy, and it seemed to guide his thoughts. He realized that being chosen was not about showing power. It was about understanding, kindness, and care. The crown had accepted him because he had shown his heart, not his strength. The eldest elder stepped forward. "Eli," he said softly, "the crown has chosen you. But this is not just a title. It is a responsibility. You will guide this planet, protect its people, and work with us to create harmony. You must listen, learn, and act with fairness." Eli nodded, feeling both nervous and excited. He was small and human, but he knew he could try his best. The other candidates approached slowly. Some bowed their heads, showing respect. Some smiled faintly, realizing that they had underestimated humans. "We see now," said one of the stronger aliens, "that power alone does not guide. Heart and understanding are just as important." Eli smiled. He did not feel proud or superior. He only felt determined to do what was right. Over the next days, Eli began to learn more about the crown and the planet. The elders taught him the history of the land, the ways of the people, and the needs of every creature. Eli listened carefully. He asked questions, observed quietly, and offered small ideas. He learned quickly, not because he was naturally smart but because he wanted to understand and help. The aliens began to notice the changes. Where the older leaders had relied on rules and force, Eli used kindness and creativity. Conflicts were solved with conversation rather than commands. Creatures and citizens were treated with care, and the planet began to feel more peaceful. Slowly, the humans and aliens learned from each other. Eli also made friends among the younger aliens. They had watched him from the trials and were amazed by how a human boy could face the crown without fear. They laughed together, shared stories, and explored the planet's forests, rivers, and towers. Eli realized that friendship could be stronger than fear or power. The aliens began to see humans differently, not as weak or strange but as capable, thoughtful, and kind. One day the crown pulsed with a bright light, floating above Eli's head. He felt a new understanding. The crown was more than a symbol of leadership. It was a guide. It would help him make decisions, protect the planet, and teach him what he needed to know. He realized that the crown's choice was not just about him, it was about bringing humans and aliens together, showing that cooperation could create something greater than power alone. The news of the human boy chosen by the crown spread across the planet. Many aliens were surprised, but slowly they began to accept the idea. They saw the results: peace, understanding, and growth. The elders were proud, knowing that the crown had made a wise decision. Eli had shown that even a small human could make a difference in a world far beyond his home. Eli looked at the twin suns setting behind the crystal towers. He thought of his family, of the humans who had come to explore this world, and of the crown that had trusted him. He realized that leadership was not about being the strongest or the smartest. It was about listening, caring, and making choices that helped everyone. The crown glowed softly as if acknowledging his thoughts. Eli smiled. He understood that this was only the beginning. There would be challenges ahead, but he felt ready. He had passed the trials, won the crown's trust, and earned the respect of the aliens. Now he had to guide, protect, and inspire. As the stars appeared in the alien sky, Eli stood tall, small but confident. The planet was changing not because of force but because of heart. Humans and aliens would work together, learn from each other, and grow stronger through cooperation. Eli had become more than a human boy. He had become a symbol of hope, unity, and understanding. The glow of the crown faded to a gentle light, resting above Eli's head. The aliens bowed, the citizens cheered softly, and Eli felt a quiet joy in his chest. He knew that even the smallest human could create a great change. He was no longer just a visitor on this world. He was a guide, a friend, and a leader. From that day on, the planet entered a new era. The humans and aliens lived in harmony, learning from one another. The crown, once a symbol of alien strength, now represented unity, compassion, and hope. And Eli, the human boy who had touched the crown and shown his heart, became a legend, a reminder that courage and kindness could shine brighter than power alone.